Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
I often talk about how slow litigation is, how long the courts take to get something done, and that's just kind of how things are. Once in a while, we hear some good news, and I got a note from my friends at the Institute for Justice. Dan King sent it over, and he says, "Victory! Arkansas City moves surveillance camera from in front of innocent family's home following letter from national law firm." I did a video about this and how a city set up one of those traffic cameras that just kind of observes everything that goes by and records everything. And they put one basically across the street from somebody's house, and the camera basically is looking right at their house. But no, it's not really looking at their house. It's looking at the cars that drive by, see? And so the fact that it gets you every time you pull in and out of your own driveway is mere coincidence. And it would freak me out. I wouldn't be happy about the government putting a camera just looking at my house. And so it turns out a lot of people felt the same way, which I think is why this story struck a nerve. But the city of Greers Ferry, Arkansas, has removed the surveillance camera from in front of an innocent family's home. The decision comes after the Institute for Justice sent the letter to the city explaining that the use of the flock safety license plate reader camera in front of this home poses grave Fourth Amendment concerns. Remember, reasonable searches and seizures, one thing, unreasonable is another. And how reasonable or unreasonable is it to have this camera pointing at your house 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year? After months of warrantless surveillance, we were relieved the camera has finally been moved from in front of our house, says Charlie. And it's Charlie and Angie who are the homeowners. But nobody else should have to experience this either. And it's time for cities across the country to reassess whether partnering with Flock is really worth sacrificing our Fourth Amendment rights. And, I got a lot of feedback on this story from people all over the place. Doesn't matter. I could do a video about like how money is good, and people go, "Oh no, Steve, it's not. Money is not good." It doesn't matter what you think you're safe in saying. You're never safe in saying anything. And so I've had people say, "But hey, Steve, you're not doing anything wrong. You shouldn't have any problem with somebody putting a camera in front of your house." Really? But let's suppose you live next door to the police department. Okay. So you're home shopping one day, you're looking for a home, and you're looking at homes up and down the street and neighborhoods, blah, 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 and there's a house right next to the police station. There's going to be police cars driving back and forth past your home all day long, every single day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year. But you knew it was there when you bought the house, right? But the camera that they just installed that's pointed at your house, that's a whole different thing. So in 2024, Greers Ferry signed a contract with Flock to install 5 license plate reader cameras, one of which ended up being placed outside city limits directly in front of this couple's home. Camera takes photos of every vehicle that drives by and analyzes features such as the license plate number, car color, dents, the vehicle's got dents or body damage, bumper stickers, and more. And some of that I understand they can say, well, we're going to identify your car based on a bumper sticker. Are they also reading the bumper stickers for content, though? Are they actually saying, oh, that person supports this candidate, not that candidate? Police can then use the database without a warrant to see each time a specific vehicle is spotted by not only their own cameras, but the cameras of any other department that opts to share data. And by the way, we've heard stories of police officers who have access to data from like driver's licenses, who occasionally just look people up for the fun of it. And they're told they're not supposed to do that, but they do it anyway. So now that they've access to this kind of stuff, could a police officer decide to check to see if his or her boyfriend/girlfriend is running around doing stuff that they don't know about? Could they do that? I mean, the information is now there, right? It's been gathered. So senior attorney Joshua Wyndham from the IJ says, we're thrilled that the Wolves will no longer be subjected to constant warrantless surveillance of their property. That said, there are still massive Fourth Amendment concerns with the use of these license plate reader cameras. We urge the city not to renew its contract with Flock Safety when the initial term is up. And so, again, this stuff to me is a matter of degrees, okay? So if you had a camera at the busiest intersection in town and it's pointed at the intersection and all it's doing is recording cars that go through, that's one thing. If you put it on the edge of town and get cars that go by out there, it's another thing. But if you place it in a residential area and it's just recording people's coming and going in that area, and you start seeing how this is, but literally having one pointed right at your house. So as you're backing out and you go someplace, you come back in, that camera's there. Somebody just recorded when you left and when you came back every single day. So other cities throughout the country, including Denver and Austin, have opted to back out of contracts after learning just how intrusive and ripe for abuse these cameras are. Every time a car drove past the camera that was located in front of this couple's home, the camera would take a picture that not only captured the traveling vehicle, but also the Wolf's driveway and a good chunk of their front yard because that was in the background of the photograph. So when the Wolfs left home or returned, a photo was taken. When their friends or family came over, a photo was taken. Got to the point where the Wolf's grandchildren stopped visiting while the camera was up because they're kind of creeped out. Big brother's over there watching us. Now, I wouldn't mind if it was actually a big brother. I had 5 big brothers growing up. They often watched over me, but that was an actual big brother. After the camera was installed, the husband here reached out to the police chief to express his concerns and was told, it's not moving. It's not moving. The following month, the couple sent a letter to city council raising Fourth Amendment concerns and asking officials once again to move the camera. Then on July 8th, the man appeared before the city council to reiterate his concerns. After the city once again rebuffed those concerns, the Institute for Justice got involved and sent a letter on July 17th. So that was the letter that apparently convinced them that maybe we should consider moving the camera that we just said was not moving. It is moving. And one thing I'm often asked about as an attorney, people often ask me, say, hey, Steve, would you write a letter for me? Just threaten somebody for me. And there's a fine line here. I have occasionally done that, occasionally. But the bulk of the cases I've handled, I just simply filed a lawsuit. Someone's got a good case, I file a lawsuit. And that's how it goes. But sometimes a well-written letter from a law firm with a track record of taking cases to the U.S. Supreme Court will get the attention of somebody who looks at it and goes, oh, these people aren't bluffing. But if you send a letter and you're an attorney that they've never heard of before, and they go, oh, some guy who's an attorney wrote us a letter and is threatening to sue us, may or may not do anything. And if you're not prepared to file the lawsuit, don't write the letter. But the Institute for Justice is prepared to file the lawsuit, and I suspect that when that letter got sent on July 17th, that someone at the city pulled up their website, ij.org, and looked at it and said, oh, these people litigate. They're not scared of taking on the government in a lawsuit. Oh, and they've also won a bunch of those cases. Now, we have to rethink this. Maybe we should consult the city attorney. And by the way, a good attorney will walk into any situation and go, okay, what's the problem? What's the conflict? Why do these two entities disagree? Is it money? Is it something else? And a lawsuit is not the best answer sometimes. Sometimes you'll discover that there's a solution that can make everyone happy. What's the solution here? Move the camera. That's what's silly about this. So when the police chief tells the guy, the camera, it's not moving. You want to go, okay, maybe the city attorney should go talk to the police chief and go, is there some reason we actually have to have it pointed at that house? Could we move it up the street to the corner or down the street or point it at a vacant lot or something? There's got to be something else we can do without pointing it directly at someone's house all day long and twice on Sunday. Okay, once on Sunday. But the point simply is, there's a simple solution, move the camera. Now, does that solve the overall problem? of the people in Greer's Ferry being put on 24-hour surveillance whenever they leave their homes by these cameras that are recording their every move, well, most of their moves, doesn't solve that problem. But it solves the immediate problem. And so I applaud both the Institute for Justice and the city of Greer's Ferry, Arkansas, for going, oh, there's a simple solution here. And I've been in court many, many times, both on my own cases and just watching other cases. And you need to see the frustration on a judge's face when a judge says, what do you people want? What do you people want? Haven't you guys realized there's a simple solution here? And yes, it's true that some parties want to litigate. Some attorneys want to litigate. Attorneys get paid to litigate. But when a client calls me up and says, hey, Steve, I got a problem. I want to file a lawsuit. I always say, okay, tell me the problem. And in my mind, my process is there a solution here that doesn't involve a lawsuit? Is there? If there is, I ask my client, have you thought about doing this? Should we try it or not? It's my job. I'm a problem solver. I'm trying to solve problems. Not all problems are lawsuit, things that need to be that actually need to be the subject of a lawsuit. Got a problem? Solve it. Okay? So there you go. But Dan King sent me the press release. I know many of you will have gotten this because many of you have taken my advice and signed up for the newsletter from the Institute for Justice. I'm going to mention, as I always do, they're a nonprofit organization doing great work like this. And by the way, if I'd written the letter or another attorney had written the same letter, might not have gotten the same result. The result comes from the fact that the IJ's got a track record. And somebody looked him up and said, ooh, we don't want them chasing us. We do not want that. So they are a nonprofit that exists solely on the generosity of its supporters. Go to their website, check them out. If you can support them financially, do so. If you can just support them emotionally, moral support, check out their website and check out their YouTube page. They've got a YouTube channel, the Institute for Justice. They've got a show called Short Circuit, which, by the way, I was on just last week. So check that out also. But again, Dan King, thanks for sending that. The press release, Victory, Arkansas City moves surveillance camera from in front of innocent family's home following letter from national law firm, the Institute for Justice. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Total absence of humor renders life impossible.